Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Mad Keen for Lean Higher Education virtual conference. I've got a great pleasure today in interviewing Bill Balzer about a new book that he and Vincent Weigel are working on. I'm sure many people are already aware of who Bill is. He's author of Lean Higher Education, which is now in its second edition, one of the foundational books on Lean in higher education, and is Emeritus Professor of Industrial Organizational Psychology at Bowling Green State University. So, hello, Bill.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Oh, very excited to be doing this. So, talking today about this book, which I feel like, I mean, not that I'm involved in it, but I kind of know the background of it. And from when I first heard about it, was very excited about hearing that you were working on it, and really looking forward to reading it, and was pleased to get a sample of it in preparation for this interview. So here's pictures of Bill and also Vincent, and some of the books that they have already written. Bill, of course, very well known for Lean Higher Education, and Vincent's Lean in the Classroom. It's really excellent and interesting book as well. So, Bill, interested in what was the inspiration for writing Better Teaching and Better Learning?
Well, I'm going to give credit to Vincent. We were at the conference out in California in San Diego, and at the end of the conference, Vincent and I spent some time together. He came up to visit me at our place in Michigan, and we spent about 3 days together, and we sort of fought, there's the view, we fought over what we wanted to write a book together on. We knew we wanted to do something together, and Vincent was very persuasive in saying, we should really talk about Lean as a tool to improve teaching and learning. And I think we all know that higher education is facing lots of challenges these days. And I want to focus on the ones, not the big ones, politics, funding, but the ones that are like in the wheelhouse of the faculty, if you will. We have remote learning that's become very prevalent in higher education. Alternative pathways, instead of just degrees, we have now certificates and badges and all those sorts of things. We have an amazingly changing mix of students. At least in the United States, we have fewer traditional age students going to college because of the demographics, but we have a lot of non-traditional students, older students, military members coming back and going to college. And of course we have lots of competition. Everybody wants to grab those new students or keep the traditional ones. And then we have employer expectations. Are we meeting their needs? And we just saw, a great demand that's being placed on faculty in higher education, but we haven't been really thinking about continuous improvement or lean in teaching and learning. And, we realized we're sort of missing the big picture. Now, imagine Teiichi Ono, the father of the Toyota production system, saying, we are going to be the best automobile company in the world. We're going to have the biggest sales. We're going to have the highest quality. We're going to have customers that always come back to us. And the way we're going to do that is by focusing on our purchasing system or focusing on how we hire employees. And we'd look at him and say, well, why aren't you focusing on your core business process, the manufacture of automobiles? Well, of course he did. Of course, hospitals that are doing lean are focusing on their core process, patient health and satisfaction. But if you look at higher education, we really aren't doing enough. We're doing some, but we're not doing enough that's impacting teaching and learning. So we feel pretty strongly that faculty have a good foundation of these skills, in continuous improvement. And we also believe that they have the influence to make changes in their organization because the faculty own the curriculum, they own their courses. So we thought, lean principles and practices tell us we should have respect for people. Gemba is the classroom for teaching and learning. So we should be going to Gemba, and that's going with the faculty. Faculty are the closest to the teaching and learning process. So we shouldn't be looking to managers or senior administrators to decide how to improve higher education. We should be having the faculty do it. And we thought, we could teach them how to use continuous improvement, the routine or the model. We could coach them up, coach the faculty up, and just get out of their way. And we will see great improvements in teaching and learning in higher education.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and there's so much in there. I absolutely agree. It's something I've thought about over time as well, that we often apply lean in universities to the back office rather than to the core business, and it would be hard for university leadership to even buy into that because they are passionate about the core business. Uh, so the slide that's up now is 3 beliefs about the value of CI to higher education, which were in the book sample that you sent me. And the thing that struck me about that whole section was that it was like a novel way to promote lean to faculty, as the beneficiaries of it in their own work rather than as the indirect beneficiaries of it through, improved administrative processes, which may free up their time, but which really are not about core business. I thought that was really, as I say, I'm really looking forward to reading the whole book. Now we've got so 3 things to foster and support expanded use of CI. This was again in the extract, and I'm really interested in the third one: CI respecting and supporting autonomy and influence of faculty. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. You know, Faculty, again, they're the ones that are closest to the classroom. They're the closest to the students. They're the ones that are doing the teaching. So we think it's respectful. Again, the core foundational principles of lean, right? Continuous improvement, respect for people. So we wanted to make sure that we were doing something that respects the people, and in this case, we're talking about the faculty in particular. So why should they not be front and center in any continuous improvement effort that takes place in the classroom, rather than their department chair or their dean telling them how to improve the curriculum, how to design their courses, what new degrees should be offered in their discipline, or is their degree out of date? That's the faculty's bread and butter. They're the experts. We've got to respect them in doing it. We also wanted to respect that they do bring a lot of knowledge, that we don't want to treat them as you don't know anything about continuous improvement. We're here as the experts to tell you what continuous improvement is. In fact, the scientific method is very much based, the continuous improvement is very much based on the scientific method. So we think there's a lot of overlap between the skills that many faculty who use the scientific method in their own research, certainly in their own doctoral work when they were getting their degrees. So it's something that they're very comfortable with. They know a lot about. We just need to help them make connections between applying the scientific method, not just to the topics that they study, but to the teaching that they do and the learning that takes place in their classrooms. So we're trying to do our best to make sure that faculty are front and center, and we acknowledge their expertise. We acknowledge the challenges that we're going to have, because faculty can be, a tough lot to work with. They can be very questioning and critical, because that's the way that they're often trained to be, critical thinkers of what people say. We know that continuous improvement isn't part of their typical professional development, so we can bring that to them. We know they're good learners, so they should be able to pick it up. So we think there's a real opportunity to bring CI to faculty, because they have the autonomy and the influence to make changes to teaching and learning. So we want to work with them, and we need to get them on board, if you will.
Yeah, it presents the classroom as an interesting sort of a workplace, if I understand this properly. So when you think about processes in universities that might touch academics, again, I guess from a back office perspective, it might be something to do with student processes, exam upload or whatever. And so I tend to think of it as being received as challenging the autonomy because it's like the one standard way of doing things. But I think what you're describing is really that the classroom, each classroom is like a unique workplace in which there can be a lot of innovation going on, and all of that is within the control of the faculty member, as opposed to being a process that runs across lots of units and is owned by a process owner sitting somewhere in the executive building, which is just not a way that I had thought about, presenting this. I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on, Chris, in that a faculty member has a lot of autonomy and flexibility and influence on what they do in their classroom. So they can help. Someone may say to them, "You're going to teach introductory psychology this semester," and the faculty would say, "I will do that," but the course design, sometimes what the learning outcomes are, the content, what's in the syllabus for the course delivery, that is the pedagogy that they use, the student activities and experiences that they build into the classroom, the course assessment, that is what assignments they give, what projects they give, testing and grading, all of that is under the control of the faculty member. So there's a lot of room to do something that you want to do. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do in continuous improvement. The faculty can do what you want to do, when you want to do it, where you want to do it in the classroom. And so the faculty member really has a lot of, again, autonomy. Same thing goes for a small group of faculty. So it might be a department of faculty who all teach in a common degree program. They have control over what the content of that set of courses is going to be. They have control over the curriculum for those courses and how it's going to be organized across the different courses. They do curriculum assessment to make sure students are learning what that degree expects those students to learn. So a small group of faculty member who are, who work together regularly also have a great deal of autonomy. And then we can sort of bump it up to, the department chair or a vice provost who helps oversee academics for a department. They have a lot of autonomy in the way they develop and maintain academic offerings, assess academic offerings, and so forth. So while you can't do everything. I mean, if I'm teaching introductory psychology, I can't teach introductory philosophy or introductory mechanical engineering, but I know best how to teach. I know my students. I can tell when my students are struggling. I can use continuous improvement to address those challenges, to make sure that they're learning more and they're going to be satisfied with the way the course is delivered. I know I'll be a better teacher. I'll probably do it more efficiently and effectively, leaving me a little bit more free time myself, which I can invest other places, including teaching or my research or whatever I want to do. So we think there's a real opportunity here for faculty to play a much more significant role in continuous improvement in higher education.
And so does the book give a series of vignettes at different stages of a career, or how it's structured, or is it structured a different way?
Yeah, so the book will have 3 vignettes. It'll be a vignette of a faculty member, a story of a faculty member who's trying to improve his or her course. Another chapter will be a department chair or academic head of a unit who will have some responsibilities for making sure that the set of courses degree is being offered well. And again, the faculty member is going to identify some challenges and try to figure out how to get some traction to improve the course, and the scenario will allow that person to work with a CI coach, who someone they know, or someone in another department, or whatever it might be. Same thing for the department chair, and also for an associate dean will be the third scenario, which will be showing how each of them can identify problems or concerns with teaching and learning appropriate for their level in the organization. They're all on the academic side of the house. They're all focusing on academic teaching and learning, and how to find the right resources at their university and to use tools that they may not be familiar with. Some of our, lean tools, Six Sigma tools that we have, but do it in a way that follows a very, very basic kata improvement process that aligns perfectly with the way that they do their scientific method.
Yeah, again, that's really cool. Just, I mean, I can't speak for all business improvement people, but I guess a lot of the conversations I have with people is where they interact with senior leadership. It is generally still around what you might say non-academic processes, and so the idea of the business improvement person within the university coaching on skills for the classroom is, I think, quite novel. That's very exciting.
Yeah,
And of
and
course, you and Vincent.
yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but while we're writing the book to really directly to faculty members, Vincent and I are both faculty members. We understand the faculty, like faculty roles. We also are really writing it for the continuous improvement professional in higher education to help them understand through the scenarios the faculty life, and maybe give them some tools and tips for how they can start working with faculty, understanding, again, the faculty background, what faculty are going to complain about. I mean, you notice that we're using continuous improvement. I haven't used a Japanese word yet, I don't think. I haven't. I'm really trying to use lean here in a limited way, because we're really trying to avoid those sorts of things that might be triggering events for faculty members to put up their blocks and say, wait a minute, is this a business thing you're doing to me? And we say, no. What we're doing to you is a scientific method thing, and that's something you know already. So we're really trying to help everybody, help our faculty, be better. Not that they're bad teachers, but we want to make them even better teachers. And not that the students aren't learning a lot, but we want them to learn a lot more, and we want it to be done again through this continuous improvement loop, over and over.
Yeah, well, you and Vincent are the perfect people to tell this story to both audiences. And I remember when that photo of you and Vincent was put on LinkedIn and just thinking, what a great room to be in. What a great conversation that must have been. So yes, the scientific method, the scientific approach.
We're up in Michigan, so we invited Krista Schulte to come over from the University of Michigan to come over and have dinner with us. So we had all these Post-it notes up. We had a game plan. We were so pleased with the work that we had done. And Krista, in her very pleasant but surgical way, said, "Have you thought about this? Maybe you should be doing it like this." And Krista gave us tremendous feedback. So to me, there was nothing better, being with two great lean colleagues and just having a great old time, and now coming out, as a book in the somewhat near future. So
yeah, that's great. And coming off of the back of the San Diego conference, which was probably the first time we all were able to be face to face in 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Because of the COVID years.
Yeah. And that's where we introduced the Hoshin Kanri book, which was from a couple of years earlier conference where we talked about Hoshin Kanri. So, these conferences are just great places to generate ideas, that work that goes on beyond the conference itself. And I'm sure that will happen with this great conference that you're working on too.
Yeah. Okay, so this slide, I guess, goes into more detail about the scientific method and how it aligns with faculty, which I know you've spoken about a bit, but is there anything else that you wanted to say in relation to that?
Yeah, I'm going to make a pitch for a book. If you haven't read Art Smalley's 2018 book called 4 Types of Problems, in the introduction, he provides a wonderful overview
Yeah.
of modern problem solving. And he takes you through from scientific management in the early 1900s, through T groups in the 1950s, through Deming's work, up through. He looks at all these different models of problem solving, and when you kind of layer them on top of each other, they're very, very similar to each other. And what we have here on the slide that you're showing now is we're just trying to use the simplest, most direct way of thinking about how we want to do continuous improvement. What's going on? Why did it happen? What should you do? And did it work? I mean, it's just a very simple, in our mind, approach that we're going to use and teach people to use over and over and over. Everybody will use that same approach, so you'll know how to talk to each other. And it's simple enough that once you've done it a couple times, it'll become as natural as using the scientific method in your own research or scholarship. So we want to make it easy. We don't want to overcomplicate it. I mean, there's plenty of tools you could use to figure out what's going on. There are plenty of tools we could use to figure out why did it happen. Plenty of tools, what you should do, and plenty of ways we can figure out did it work. But we really don't want to emphasize that too much. We really want to emphasize this, and I'm going to use my Japanese word here, kata, this problem-solving approach. So we have a kata problem-solving approach. We're going to give them a CI coach, a kata coach, and together that will make continuous improvement happen for faculty and for leaders too. I mean, everybody can use this. It's not just for faculty or just in the classroom. It can be used anywhere.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I also think Art Smalley's Four Types of Problems is a fantastic book. And I really like it, for me, in the introduction part, how he describes problem solving as basically being on a continuum. You have problems and opportunities, but you can actually treat them the same way. And he starts, I think, with gap from standard and works his way up this diagram to sort of blue sky opportunistic things. But yeah, it's a fabulous book. Just coming back to the idea of the CI coach within the university, in order to scale that up, you could start with a business improvement team, which might be 3 or 4 people if you're lucky. Do you envisage that faculty would end up coaching other faculty and how to do that?
Yeah, we're again we can provide examples of where that CI coach may come from, and it may come from someone. If you're lucky enough to have a university with a continuous improvement office, but if not, you may be in a university where in the business college or one of your other colleges they're teaching business process improvement, or it may be some of your alumni of your program are out doing continuous improvement, or hospitals and organizations in your community that are using lean. There's so many places, and of course there's online resources too, but there are so many places we can start to find these CI coaches, and then once you start using it and becoming really good at it, then you become a model for your department, for your academic colleagues. And once your department starts using it more, maybe you become a model for your college within your university. So we do see that, paying it forward, someone will help you, and then you're going to help someone else, and they're going to help someone else. So that's kind of the model we envision.
Yeah, which I think, I mean, most people, a lot of people at least, would do that instinctively. I mean, I know I do that with my own network around the university and beyond. I suppose the challenge there would be putting some level of structure around that and being somehow programmatic about how that spreads across the organization.
Yeah, I think, again, without overly complicating it,
Yeah.
if you showed these 4 steps to anybody who practices continuous improvement, it may not be they may say, I do PDCA, or I do DMAIC, or I do whatever. But, going back to the Smalley book, he shows all of these problem-solving methods on an arc, and the
Mm.
foundation of that arc is the scientific method. That's at the
Yeah.
bottom
Yeah.
of the arc.
Yes.
So it's all together. So even if you're not a practitioner of these particular 4 steps when you do your own work, they'll make sense to you, and it'll allow you to help someone make sense of these steps for themselves.
Yep. Fantastic. Now we do have another slide. So the key takeaways from the book, if there's anything in there that you'd like to expand on.
Um, I think I'll just briefly hit on them because just so as I said, faculty are Vincent and I are arguing faculty are the front line.
Yep.
So they're the ones who have to be in teaching and learning. It's scientific thinking. It's going to be very natural because it parallels academic disciplines. 4 simple steps to become even better teachers and students to become even better learners. Anybody can easily apply this standardized routine, those 4 steps, and then everyone wins. It's the students will be better learners, the faculty will be better teachers and free up some of their time. Employers will get better graduates. The university will have a better reputation for teaching, and society wins. So it's again, faculty know how to do it, so just do it.
Definitely. Yes, I like number 6. Just do it. Yeah. Now, you and I have had conversations over time about the Lean Higher Education Network and how we can, I guess, become more valuable to universities. And I think this book is a fantastic way, as I said, of almost repositioning the value proposition of Lean to faculty, shifting from the back office to core business, I think is absolutely essential. What advice would you give to us as a network or as individuals in organizations really seeking to plant the seeds and to get some momentum on doing this?
Yeah, I think again we would like in our audience is not just faculty members. A primary audience are lean practitioners, lean higher
Hmm.
education practitioners.
Mm.
So we hope they'll see a good takeaway here. But the challenge that I think we still face, and I've been arguing this since the first lean conference that I've gone to, up in Waterloo, that continuous improvement is a science-based process, but we as practitioners haven't been gathering evidence that follows the scientific method to show the support for it. So somehow we've got to figure that out. There have been a dozen studies on teaching and learning, and we'll cover those in our book. We'll highlight those, but most of them lack real scientific rigor. They don't use the same outcome measures. It's usually not even continuous improvement. It's usually only a single improvement cycle. So that doesn't really, if a faculty member who's a scientist looks at that, they'll say, I don't know if you've got the rigor here to really tell me or convince me that this works. So we've got to figure that part out together as a network. And I think it can be done. I think the work done at Strathclyde by Lawrence and Carnes is a great start for thinking about metrics that matter. I think they've done really good work, and you should read the Lawrence and Carnes pieces for those who haven't read them. More collaboration between lean higher ed practitioners and academics. Invite a hungry faculty member who's looking to get some research done. Bring them in and say, look, we're doing these projects. Is there a way that you can help us study the impact or the effectiveness of these programs? And I think we can build really nice partnerships that way too. Could be graduate students, but bring in somebody who is a real scientist practitioner and invite them to the table and not feel threatened by them, but open up a real collaboration. You'll help them understand the world of university processes, and they'll help you understand the world of scientific evidence.
Yeah, so that could be happening within each institution. You're saying that the business improvement people could be reaching out to the hungry faculty member and forming those local connections, and then I guess scaling up across the network to something more
Mhm.
compelling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
Okay. No, that's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. It is. I mean, it's a challenge that I've been sort of wrestling with a bit as well. How do we as a network increase our credibility? And I mean, obviously, the books that you and Vincent and others have written are all going to help with that. And there's probably a lesser number of peer-reviewed journal articles coming out, which I guess is the really the currency of academia. Um, More difficult and slower, kind of more frustrating for me personally, process of writing those as opposed to writing something for a more general audience. But yeah, very important that we do it.
Right. Yeah, and some people enjoy that and like doing it, and we should invite them and help them get the data they need, to do it. And I think we can make everybody happy. We can have the case studies, the storytelling, which is an important
Mm,
way to help people
yeah.
understand this. But at the same time, if we can do some more rigorous cross-university collaborative studies where we're using the same metrics, we're looking at effects over time, we're tracking students after they graduate from the classroom. We can do
Mm,
some really powerful studies
yeah,
together.
yeah,
Together,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Now, I should have asked you, when is the book, or what stage is the book at? Is it with the publisher yet, or you're still polishing it?
No, we actually we were having some struggles, Vincent and I, and we sent it out and had 5 external reviewers look at it, and we weren't sure what they were going to say, but we were delighted to hear that they liked it. They liked it a lot. They liked the storytelling.
Good, yeah.
They liked a book from a faculty member's perspective.
Mm,
So we, so we got a real push from them, and that gave us some real more clear direction as to where we wanted to go with the stories themselves and how
mm,
we frame the book. So we didn't want to get ahead. We thought we were doing it well. We got a lot of great feedback, so there's going to be lots of changes. But the short answer is we had to push back our delivery date to the publisher. It'll probably be June or July of 26, and the book will
okay,
be out sometime towards the end of 26. So,
okay,
about a year from now is,
okay.
we'd love to hit the next conference. I'm not sure if
Oh,
we're going to be able to do
absolutely.
that with publishing deadlines,
Yeah.
but we'll certainly have our work done by then. So,
Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah, I'm not surprised you got great feedback. I'm very excited about being able to read it once it's finished. Thank you so much, Bill, for making the time for this interview. I know Vincent couldn't be here. I don't know, he's extremely busy, may be able to join in the sessions. You will stay on for Q&A, I think, after both sessions. One of them's in the middle of the night, so thank you, middle of the night your time, so thank you very much in advance for doing that. And personally, wonderful to have the chance to catch up and talk to you again.
oh, it's my pleasure. And your book, Collaborative Problem Solving, is one of my favorites. So it's an honor to be interviewed by you, Chris.
Oh my goodness. Thanks very much, Bill.
Okay.